Liam Brooks was just an IT guy. A single dad juggling deadlines, broken machines, and an 8-year-old daughter who depended on him more than anyone else in the world. Most days, he felt like he was one spilled coffee away from disaster. But he kept moving. He always kept moving. Ava Carter, on the other hand, lived in a different universe entirely. Billionaire CEO. The kind of woman everyone watched but never looked directly in the eyes. The kind of woman whose footsteps caused entire departments to straighten their posture, whose slightest frown sent managers scrambling to fix problems they didn't even understand. Their worlds weren't supposed to collide. Not meaningfully. Not personally. Not like that. But computer crash, one small, inconvenient, ordinary error, was about to change everything. The elevator ride. The elevator to the 40th floor moved too fast. Like it knew people who belonged up there were always in a hurry. Liam stood rigidly near the back, gripping his toolkit, so tightly the metal edges pressed little half-moons into his palms. He watched the floor numbers climb. 36, 37, 38. He'd worked at Carter Global for 3 years. A solid, stable job. Not glamorous. Definitely not prestigious. But stable enough for Emma, his daughter, to have good health care and a predictable life. His usual turf was the 3rd floor, the level where cubicles stretched endlessly and people treated IT staff like ghosts. He didn't belong on the 40th floor. Nobody from IT did unless something catastrophic happened. The elevator chimed, and the door slid open to reveal a reception area that looked like it had been carved out of a luxury magazine. Marble floors, real marble, not the kind printed to look like it. Art pieces on the walls so abstract Liam felt sure they cost more than his annual salary. The air even smelled expensive, like eucalyptus and quiet confidence. A receptionist with silver bob and a posture so perfect it looked engineered. Glanced up. Her expression was warm in a way that trained professionals could make warm feel like policy. "Mr. Brooks, IT," he said, showing his badge even though she plainly didn't need it. "Miss Carter's expecting you. 3rd door on the left. She has meetings in 45 minutes, so you'll need her system running before then." "Great. No pressure." Liam nodded and walked down the hallway, trying not to think about the hundreds of people between floors who prayed they never ended up in Ava Carter's office for anything less than promotion. Inside the CEO's office, the 3rd door was already open. Ava Carter stood with her back to him, phone pressed to her ear. Even from behind, she emanated authority. Her charcoal gray suit fit her like it had been hand-stitched to her exact measurements. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant, no-nonsense style, the kind only people with assistance or supernatural skill could pull off. "I don't care what the projections say," she said into the phone. Her voice was calm, but beneath it was steel. "If the Tokyo office can't deliver what they promised, then we restructure. I'm not interested in excuses." Liam hovered in the doorway, unsure whether to interrupt or quietly combust. She ended the call and turned. Her gaze swept over him, quick, precise, assessing. In that moment, Liam felt like a spreadsheet being audited. But then her expression softened by a millimeter. "You're from IT." "Yes, ma'am." "Liam Brooks. Your system froze during a video conference." "Yes. It won't restart properly." She gestured the enormous desk behind her, covered in tidy stacks of documents, each positioned with mathematical precision. "I have investor meetings in a few hours." "Understood," Liam said, and he got to work. Ava stepped back, arms crossing as she watched him, not impatiently, not anxiously, just expectantly, observing, like she wanted to understand how he worked, not simply when he'd be finished. Under her gaze, his hands felt clumsier than usual. He rebooted the machine, executed a hard reset, checked for corrupted files. The monitors flickered, and then the desktop background loaded, and Liam froze. The photograph. Her login screen should have appeared immediately, but the crash had dislodged something. Instead, the desktop background filled the middle monitor, crisp, full screen, unavoidable. It was Ava, not CEO Ava, not press conference Ava, not billion-dollar powerhouse Ava, but Ava standing on a sunlit lake dock, wearing jeans and a simple white shirt, her dark hair loose and wind-tousled, No makeup, no jewelry, no camera-ready perfection. She was smiling, a real smile, the kind you couldn't fake even with 100 photographers watching. Liam's throat tightened. It felt like he was intruding on something he wasn't supposed to see, a moment of sheer human vulnerability. He reached for the keyboard to close it out. Stop. Her voice cut the room cleanly in half. Liam froze, hands suspended. Ava walked forward, her eyes fixed on the screen, on herself. For a moment, she didn't look like the woman who barked orders across continents. She looked uncertain. You saw it, she said. Not accusing, not angry, just stating a fact. Liam swallowed. I wasn't trying to. I know you weren't. She stepped closer to the screen, her expression tightening, softening, tightening again, as though she didn't quite recognize the woman in the photograph. That was taken 3 years ago, she said quietly. I forgot I even said it as my background. Liam nodded but didn't speak. There were a dozen safe things to say. None felt right. Then she turned to him. Her gaze searched his face, hungry for something he didn't yet understand. What did you think? Liam blinked. I'm sorry. Of the photograph. What did you think when you saw it? This was a trap. It had to be. Powerful executives didn't ask IT staff to comment on personal photos. I'm not sure my opinion matters, he said. But you have one. He hesitated, looked at the picture again. You look, he exhaled. Happy. Happy. She repeated the word slowly, as if tasting it. Is that all? She looked at him like she was challenging him to tell the truth, like she'd know instantly if he lied. You look real, Liam said finally, like a person, not a position. A long, thick silence filled the space between them. Liam braced for consequences, harsh words, dismissal, disciplinary action. Instead, Ava's expression changed, subtle, almost invisible, but unmistakably wounded and relieved at the same time. No one has said that to me in a very long time, she murmured, that I look like myself. And then, the question that changed everything. Do you think I'm beautiful? The question. It hit him like a physical impact. Liam stared at her, certain he misheard. I'm sorry, what? It's a simple question, Ava said, voice cool but trembling beneath the surface. In that photograph, do you think I'm beautiful? His instinct screamed at him to dodge it, to be professional, to say something neutral. But she wasn't asking as a CEO. She was asking as a woman who desperately needed a real answer. Yes, he said softly. You're beautiful in that photograph, but not because of how you look. She raised an eyebrow, not offended, just intrigued. Explain. You look peaceful, Liam said. Like you're where you want to be. Like you're yourself. That's what's beautiful. Another silence. Not cold, not uncomfortable. Something else entirely. When Ava finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. Thank you. She stepped back, mask sliding neatly over her features again. Finished the login sequence. Yes, ma'am. Liam restored her system, reset the session, and stepped back. Everything should be functioning now. He was nearly out the door when she spoke again. Liam. He turned. Ava stood near the window, sunlight outlining her like a portrait. Thank you for being honest with me, she said. Most people aren't. Liam nodded and left, but nothing felt the same. Not the elevator ride, not the hallway, not the air. Something had shifted. He just didn't know what. A normal day that didn't feel normal. The rest of the day unfolded as if nothing monumental had happened. Printer jams, password resets, tech support calls, coworkers complaining about the cafeteria lunches. But Liam couldn't stop thinking about the photograph, or her question, or the way she looked relieved when he answered. He picked up him at 3:30. She talked nonstop about school, about her friend Maya maybe moving, about cereal mascots being psychologically manipulative, whatever that meant to an 8-year-old. They did groceries. They made dinner. They went to her parent-teacher conference. Normal things. Ordinary things. But all night, the photograph stayed burned into his thoughts. Ava, smiling at a lake. Ava, asking a stranger in her office if he thought she was beautiful. Ava, sounding like a person starved for truth. When Emma went to sleep, Liam stared at his cold coffee and wondered why he felt so deeply unsettled by a woman who lived in an entirely different world. The summons. The next morning was normal until 9:45. His desk phone rang. IT department, this is Liam. Mr. Brooks, this is executive administration. Miss Carter would like to see you in her office at 10 o'clock. He froze. Is there a technical issue? She didn't specify. The line disconnected. Liam stared at the phone, heart pounding. Yesterday he had told the CEO she was beautiful, and now she wanted to see him again. Why? He had no idea, but he was about to find out. Henry stood frozen at the center of the room, still seated at the piano as the last gentle vibration of the melody faded into silence. The hall remained hushed, as if no one dared to breathe. Even the snow outside seemed to pause at the windows. Then Henry called her. His name left Ingrid's lips in a whisper that trembled with disbelief. Her silver heels clicked against the marble as she approached, but each slow step seemed to echo louder than the music itself. The crowd watched with bated breath, sensing something long buried breaking the surface, something real and raw. Henry looked up. His eyes widened, and in an instant, 20 years collapsed between them. Ingrid? His voice cracked. I didn't know you were here tonight. Her painted composure fractured the moment she saw the familiar gentleness in his expression. The softness she had once fallen for before life had turned sharp and cold. That song, she breathed. Why do you still know it? Henry swallowed. How could I forget? He wrote it for you. You used to hum it when you thought no one was listening. A tiny sound escaped her, a mix between a laugh and a gasp. That was a lifetime ago. Feels like yesterday, Henry replied softly. Before Ingrid could answer, a small yawn interrupted them. Daddy? Everyone turned. Little Emma stood behind Henry, rubbing her sleepy eyes, her curls slightly messy from being carried earlier. When she noticed all the people staring at her, she quickly stepped behind her father's leg. Henry smiled down at her. Hey, Munchkin, did the loud music wake you? Emma shook her head. No, I came because you stopped playing. I like it when you play. Her small hand gripped his coat, seeking reassurance. Ingrid's heart twisted at the sight. A child, his child. For a moment, an unexpected ache flickered through her. Years of wondering what life would have been like had she not run, had she not chosen ambition over love, had she not broken both their hearts in the process. Emma, Henry said gently, this is Miss Whitmore. Emma peeked out shyly. Hi. Ingrid slowly crouched down so she was eye level. Something softened in her posture, something no one at the gala had ever seen before. Hello, sweetheart, Ingrid said. You look very brave. Emma blinked. Brave? Why? Because it takes courage to walk into a big, fancy room all by yourself, Ingrid replied. Emma tilted her head. Daddy's here, so I'm not alone. That simple statement hit Ingrid harder than she expected. She stood again, but the confident CEO masked in return. Instead, she looked at Henry as if seeing him for the first time, how he stood slightly in front of Emma protectively, how his shoulders bore the quiet strength of a man who had fought, lost, rebuilt, and kept going. You're a father, she whispered. Yes. Henry nodded. For 6 years now. And her mother? Henry's gaze dropped. She passed away shortly after Emma was born. Silence. Heavy, gentle, respectful. Ingrid's eyes slowly softened into something like regret. I'm sorry, Henry. You don't need to be, he said simply. Life happened. Ingrid pressed her lips together. I never imagined you'd carry so much on your own. I never imagined you'd become the woman standing in front of me. He paused. You've changed. So have you. A faint smile touched his mouth, hopefully for the better. Her laugh was quiet but genuine. I always thought you were good. Maybe too good. Emma tugged at Henry's sleeve. Daddy, are you okay? Henry kneeled and kissed her forehead. I'm perfect. But when he looked up at Ingrid again, everything unspoken trembled between them. The crowd began to whisper and drift away, sensing the moment was no longer theirs to witness. The live band resumed softly in the background. Snow continued to fall. "Henry," Ingrid said, her voice steadier now, "I need to know, why did you play that song tonight?" Henry looked at the piano. "Emma asked for a lullaby. My hands just chose that one. Not your heart." He hesitated. "Maybe both." Ingrid inhaled shakily. "I didn't realize I still mattered enough for that." "You mattered," he corrected. "Past tense. But I've learned to live without before." Her expression faltered. "And now?" He didn't answer. Instead, Emma did. "Miss Whitmore," she said, stepping forward bravely. "Daddy smiled when he played that song. He doesn't smile like that a lot." Henry blinked. "Emma, it's true," she insisted. "He works a lot, and he gets lonely. I think you make him remember nice things." Ingrid's breath caught. Henry froze. The orchestra swelled softly. And something inside Ingrid, the part that had starved for years under the weight of corporate expectations, began to thaw. "Henry," she said quietly, "can we talk?" Somewhere quieter. Henry studied her face. "Are you sure?" "For the first time in a long time, yes." He nodded. Emma slipped her small hand into Ingrid's without hesitation, surprising both adults. Ingrid looked down, startled. "You trust me?" "You look like someone who won't let go," Emma said seriously. Ingrid's throat tightened. Henry exhaled. "Come on." The three of them walked toward the long hallway beyond the ballroom, toward warm lights, quieter air, and the possibility of a second chance. And behind them, the piano remained still, yet the memory of the melody lingered in the grand hall, like a promise gently waiting to be kept.